Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who's a cynic. How is everyone doing this evening? Happy Labor Day to every single person out there. Cynical Centrist starts off with Collider's most anticipated movies of the fall are Knives Out, Cats, and Terminator Dark Fate. Are they punking me? Cynical Centrist, no, they're not. And actually, when you tagged me in that on Twitter, my first reaction was to laugh. But the more you think about it, the more you realize, God, they're such shills. Like, honestly, think about the studios that are attached to those films. Think about the directors and the different personalities that are connected to those films. And it makes total sense. It makes total sense that they would say these are our most anticipated films because they want to, again, look good for the actors and companies that are involved to protect their status. They are complete shills. If that list does not prove that Collider is a bunch of shills, I don't know what else will convince you. What's going on? G-Monkey76, Blake Hemlow is here as well. Grandmaster Yoda. Nickel Noodles is also here. We got Bruce. What's going on, Bruce? Tina is here as well. How's it going, Tina? 70B is here. The birthday girl is here. Everyone in the chat, let us wish a very happy and blessed birthday to Stephanie B., my Valkyrie, my general, someone who's been with the channel for over a year now at this point, because we hit our year anniversary for streaming at the very least in July, and she's been with it almost ever since, the second stream maybe? So huge birthday shout out to Stephanie B. And Stephanie B., I will be sending a gift to you later on tonight to not only wish you happy birthday, but also to thank you for all the hard work that you've done over this past year. I mean, Stephanie B., both Stephanie B and Tina are amazing Valkyrie, but Stephanie B, again, being here since almost the very beginning. Tina, not long after that. She is indeed my general, though, so huge shout out to Stephanie B, and congratulations. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, my Valkyrie. And let me know, Stephanie B, if you have any requests. Do you have any birthday wishes? Because the All-Father is all about granting birthday wishes. Peter Sharon is here. What's going on, man? Mara Krell is here as well. Let's see. We got Blake Kirkhew is here. Truculent Trout. The dogs are in the other room right now. The dogs are in the other room for now. Super Anime Gamer, what's going on, bruv? How is it going? I'm doing just fine. Seth Zaidi says, "Hi Odin, it's me, Hyper X13. Sorry that you're gonna have to get used to the name for a while. How's it going?" Well, Seth, why? Why the name change, man? Well, I hope everything's fine. I hope you didn't have to change it on purpose. But what's going on, Seth? How's it going, bruv? We got some action over on the D Live. We got happy birthday messages from Captain Dean Heiss and Captain Poppyton as well. What's going on, bruvs? How is it going? Thank you so much for joining me over on the D Live. John Early says, "Can we chat about any movie, All-Father?" Most movies, I would say. The biggest focus, of course, is going to be on the latest Star Wars Episode 9 leaks, because it is indeed still the topic of many people's conversations. And movies that are coming out soon, I would say. I would say Joker be in the mix also. JJ Jonathan Jerebeck's here. What's going on, JJ? How's it going, bruv? Smoochie out California says, "Happy President's Day. My favorite president was Bill Clinton. He was a funny guy, especially when he was caught playing saxophone in that blue dress." Oh, sick burn. Sick burn. With the wrong holiday and everything. That's fantastic. Alice McCarthy says, "Howdy, Odin. How are you?" Old Palpatine was a ladies' man, eh? Well, at least if you go ahead by those latest rumors and you don't dive into it like I did. So for anyone that doesn't want to hear any potential Episode 9 spoilers, this might not be the chat for you. But of course, it's all rumor. It's all speculation. So of course, take it with a giant grain of salt. But one of the latest rumors is that Rey is the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine. Now, that would mean that she would essentially have to be a Skywalker, presumably, because it was revealed in the comics somewhat recently that Palpatine essentially created Anakin Skywalker by impregnating his mom Shmi with the Force. Yes, Anakin Skywalker was almost even more of an allegory for Jesus than we would have thought. Though, of course, Jesus didn't go off and, say, "I have the high ground," and do all the other things that he ended up doing. However, it is interesting that there are these connections being made, for sure. Jay Stowe says, "I am just waiting for Arnold to say, 'I won't be back.'" Yeah, seriously. They got her to say it. They got Linda Hamilton to say it. But it is interesting that they went with her and not. Well, actually, it's not that interesting because it's really not all that surprising either. Christian Hamill, what's going on? Happy birthday to Stephanie B. Indeed. Happy birthday to Stephanie B. Absolutely. Huge birthday shout outs. Cindy says, you are a sweetheart. No. You are a sweetheart. And just like Tina, you should start your own YouTube channel as well. It's amazing when you look at Stephanie B's YouTube channel. She already has so many subscribers just for being an amazing person. Even though she doesn't really put out like consistent videos, people still subscribe to her because she is awesome. Because she's just a great person. Single Centra says, a gift? Is it a copy of Captain Marvel? Oh, you mean this movie? You mean this movie? No, she deserves better than that, cynical centrist. She will get a true present, a real present, worth a hell of a lot more than that piece of garbage behind me. Darth Marl says, good eve. 15 years ago, a boy was stabbed and burned alive by 3 Asian men due to him being white. Over in the UK, the media mostly ignored, but imagine if it was... That's such a... Darth Morrill. 15 years ago? Why? What? I'm confused. Why is this being brought up right now? We are wishing happy birthday to 70B, and you bring up a story from 15 years ago? Out of nowhere? Out of nowhere. I feel like you're trying to pull an RKO on me, man. Mayor Jeremy was going, evening, beard god. Well, thank you, Mayor Jeremy. I appreciate it, man. 70B says, I want you to wing the show. Everyone is so sweet to me. Wing the show. I wing the show every single time. So any other requests that you might have? Grandmaster Yoda says, do you think James will be more careful with what movie he makes after the Dark Fate flops? Well, here's the thing. He didn't make the movie. He was a producer. And apparently, there's a rumor going around that he wasn't even on set for any of the filming of the movie. So, yeah, he might be credited for helping with the story, but to me, it seems more likely that they're crediting him because it's his characters, and he probably had some minimal input on it. He decided to produce it, so he decided to just throw a little bit of money behind it so that way he could get the title to help the film out in some way or another, and then basically just let them do whatever the hell they wanted to. So, no, I don't think it's going to change him at all because you realize how much money James Cameron has? Look at the films that he's made and how much money he's made in the process. I can't remember the last time he made, like truly made a flop. You know, the one that he wrote, directed, produced, like the whole shebang. I can't remember the last film that he did that fit all those categories in that way. I mean, Avatar alone held a record for a long time, and when you adjust for inflation, is still more grossing than Endgame will ever be. Endgame will never reach the heights that Avatar did when you adjust the numbers for inflation. Obviously, of course, they all fall into the shadow of. Oh my God! Why I wanted to say Once Upon a Time on the Prairie, but I know it's not. Gone with the Wind is the movie I'm thinking of. When you adjust Gone with the Wind, which was also just an American film, by the way, when you adjust that for inflation, that film is the highest-grossing film in history. So yeah, it is interesting, but no, I don't think James will be more careful because at the end of the day, all he did was throw his money behind it, and it's money that he will probably get back. Because I doubt that he put in all of the money in for it. Super says, I'm doing well, thanks. Celebrated my last day of summer vacation by hanging out with a friend, marathoning anime like a true weeaboo. Good day. Well, I'm glad that you had a good day, Super. Glad to hear that. And that does sound like a lot of fun. Sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, that's right, because a lot of people start school after Labor Day. High schools usually don't, at least where traditionally where I'm from. They always start, well before, at least halfway through August, they usually start. But I know that there's a lot of people that aren't going back until tomorrow. So to anyone that is in college or in high school going back to school tomorrow, have fun. We're already halfway through the first quarter. I'm looking ahead. We're already in the beginning of September. By the end of this week, halfway through this week, we'll be a month away from my fall break. So it's going to fly by. The year's already been flying by, to be honest. Suji out California says, Stephanie is our Valkyrie, much better than that dog, Tessa Thompson. Whoa, throwing out some language there, man. Throwing out some language. We can be critical. We can be critical of the actress. I don't like throwing around names like that. Single Sandra says, the Knives Out trailer looked horrible. Captain America and that language, I know, seriously, that language that he uses, it's so un-Captain America-like. Also, the fact that Ryan Johnson's name all over it, you know what? That explains why the Collider crew's all over that film, because they love Ryan Johnson. Remember that they have to like that film. They are forced to defend that film because they're the same people that are still going out to bat for The Last Jedi, saying that it's one of the greatest films of all time, that it's an underrated film, and that fans will one day come back to it. And they are, of course, still saying that because they gotta get that access. As Gary says all the time over on Nerdrotic, that access media's gotta continue to get at access. I tell you, my friends. Captain Dean Heiss over on D-Live says, gotta teach the dogs to fetch Captain Marvel so you can throw it over your shoulder multiple times. That would be one thing to do. That would be one great trick to teach my dogs. However, I don't want my dogs anywhere near it for fear of them being poisoned by the awfulness of the film. Bruce says, so Rey is a Palpatine. Rey is a Skywalker, more or less, right? I mean, yes, theoretically, she's a part of the Palpatine lineage, but if you base it off of what was revealed in the comics recently, therefore Anakin's also a Palpatine also, which means Luke's also a Palpatine, which means Leia's also a Palpatine too. Now, what doesn't make sense if this is indeed true, again, giant grain of salt here, is how Rey, as the granddaughter of Palpatine, is somehow more powerful than those closer, like Anakin or Luke or Leia. That doesn't make any damn sense. But then, as I said in the video earlier today, that makes perfect sense in Disney's eyes because Disney doesn't care about things making sense. If they did, The Last Jedi would never have happened. Or if it did, they would have come out and apologized. They would have come out and retconned. But instead, they're going back and saying, oh, no, it's fine. It didn't derail anything. It's perfect. Obviously, they have to say it, but it's worth talking about nonetheless. Seth says, I had no choice, dude. My big bro did a phone service change plan with Google Fi, and they forced me to require to use my real name. What? Really? You should be able to change it, though, Seth. On YouTube, you just go to your settings. You should be able to change it, or at the very least, you should be able to create a brand account or something similar to that where you can use a different name. What you might need to do is you might just need to create a new Google account. Just create a new Google account and use the same name. You might have to resubscribe to some things, but that could be something that you could do in the meantime. Just an idea. Just an idea. You know, just an idea. Glinzer says, wasn't Avatar's success owed to 3D? It's not a big deal anymore. Hold on. I'll have to get back to that because the chat jumped on me, but don't worry. I will get to that comment because the chat jumped and now I need to go back. And now I need to go back up. Oh, man. Didn't realize it had jumped on me that much. Alex Martinez, what's going on, bruv? How is it going? Cynical Centrist says, they mentioned Palpatine being quite a ladies' man in his youth in one of the books. Can't remember which one. Yeah, is that one that's canon still, though? Cynical. I wonder. Laura, do some research. Find out if that's part of the canon still or if that's part of the Disney regime. And if it's part of the Disney regime, maybe that's how they try to explain it. Maybe they try and say, no, it's actually going to be someone different. Interesting. Drunk 3PO, thank you for the $5 donation. Says, hope you're feeling better, my man. I am. Still got you could hear at the very beginning of the stream, still got a little caught in my throat, but it's all residual at this point. I'm feeling significantly better. And now Frey is back. So now the wife's back, and so that automatically makes me feel better. So thank you so much, Drunk. I really do appreciate the donation, man. You freaking rock. Please go subscribe to Drunk 3PO, and even better, go support him on Patreon, because unlike some others, he, including myself, he uses all the money that he gets from Patreon and donations and everything to actually do good in the world. He goes and helps kids all across the world. He goes and it's amazing. Seriously, if you follow him on Patreon, he shows you videos. He posts things showing exactly where the money that's being donated goes to. And if he gets enough, he'll be able to actually bring somebody, a Patreon actually, along. I was just reading his tiers today. If he gets to the goal that he has of getting something per month, he'll be able to actually bring somebody along with him on a journey to, again, help kids. So it's one of those things where I think it's a worthy investment, because you're not just supporting a content creator. Drunk 3PO is a great content creator, by the way, in addition to being just a great human being. And so you could still support him if you want to support his work. However, it's really awesome that the money that's donated to him goes specifically to help others. It's really awesome. Tina says, no, she's Palpatine's sisters, uncles, cousins, twice removed brothers, aunts, sisters, ninth cousin. Yes, Tina, that makes total sense. Or, as I love from Spaceballs, she is my father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate. What does that make us? Absolutely nothing. That's pretty much what we've gotten to at this point, man. John Early says, I haven't been to a movie theater since 2015, All Father, so I've seen none of the films that came out this year. Shrugs. John Early, I will say this much. Alita Battle Angel is worth seeing in screens. Anytime they bring back a classic, I'd say it's worth seeing. I mentioned this before, 2001 A Space Odyssey last year. It was the first time I'd ever seen it, got to see it in IMAX. That was well worth going. And that one was not covered under my AMC A-list, or I think maybe at the time, no, I didn't have Movie Pass anymore, but whatever I had at the time, it wouldn't cover it because those are special events and they're not covered. But it was well worth the price, I say that much. Patrick Walsh, what's going on, bruv? He says, what up? I'm waiting for a game to start. How's the long weekend? Not long enough, it seems. No, it's been great. Instead of sleeping in like many people probably did this morning, I actually got up earlier because there is, you all know I love the Latin Mass, and there's actually a Latin Mass every Monday morning at the Basilica near me. And so I actually got to go this morning, and it was really nice. It was like reminding me a lot of home because over the summer, every single day, you guys remember, I did daily Mass every single day, and the local church, my parish, offered the Latin Mass every single day too. And so it was really cool to go back. It was a little different because some of the prayers were in English. I'm sure trying to bridge the gap. There were only 3 people there, including myself, so it was definitely not a huge crowd of people. But hopefully I can try and get more people or do something, offer something, so that way we can get the Latin Mass a little bit more often because I love it. I mean, it's deeply rooted in the tradition of the church, thousands of years old tradition that I really do think deserves to be celebrated a lot more. Bruce says, the Terminator trailers have given me zero interest in seeing that movie. I would say that's the truth for most people. I think that most people look at those trailers and say, am I supposed to be excited? I think that for those that aren't just entirely just pissed off by just how crappy the film looks, you at the very least say, yeah, this just doesn't look like it's worth seeing. You can still be critical of a film and not, hate on it like I am, for example, And I think that there's definitely a lot of things that are worth talking about with that film because of just how poorly constructed the trailers themselves are and just how poorly thought out the plot itself. I mean, seriously, if you've been following the Terminator at all, you look at this plot and you say, this is so contrived. You realize even more so than in the previous versions, which were also contrived, just how much this franchise just needs to end because they're not really adding anything new to the story. They keep going back and retconning, using obviously the elements of time travel that are presented to them, but they retcon everything, and then they say something new, and it's like, okay, why should I care? Why should I go see this film when in 10 years, or within the next 10 years, you'll make another film that goes back in time again, retcons again, and then nothing matters? That's the biggest problem with this franchise, is that when it first came out, it was awesome. T1, T2, they work great together. Everything after that, though, it's all, oh my God, we stopped Judgment Day. Oh my God, no, it's just been delayed, and now it's coming back. And it's like, you can always tell that story so many times. That's why Salvation had at least some potential, right? Salvation was taking place during Judgment, or during the thick of Judgment Day, when the battle itself was waging. That was at least interesting, but then they dropped that ball too. And so then they had to go back and retcon with Genesis. Genesis then sucked because, again, the only thought process is we have to continue the franchise, but what are we going to do? Let's just go back and retcon and change and just tell the same exact story. And then that film didn't do well, and that's what I honestly think is going to happen to Dark Fate. Dark Fate itself, I think, has a very dark fate to it. Just because they can put Cameron's name on the title, just Cameron's name all over it. Look to any poster, look to any trailer, and James Cameron is put very much in bold, even though he had very minimal involvement with the actual film itself. Worth talking about, I would say. All right, back over on D-Live. Captain Poppyton says, I heard that Leia defeats Luke in a flashback when she's prego with Ben, so it would be like Luke tried to kill Ben twice. Oh, Lord, Poppyton, if that's true, that would actually go in line exactly with what we were talking about beforehand, with how on the according to the Reddit leaks, there's going to be a flashback to Luke training Leia. So that would make sense that Leia, because why not? Leia would just magically beat Luke. And then one could argue saying, oh, it's because she was pregnant with Ben, and Ben Swallow is a very powerful member of the Force, and so is both of their Force power. And, they would try to explain it in some way. Merv Chops, what's going on, bruv? He just says, hello there. How's it going over on D-Live? How is it going? Captain Peabody, what's going on, man? Darkness says, hello, D-Live people. What's going on, Darkness79? Hope you are doing well. Back over on YouTube, Smoothie California says, the whole who's your daddy and what does he do? Who's your daddy and what does he do? Gimmick with Rey is really getting old. I hate to admit this, but that exact same plot was done much better in Mamma Mia 10 years ago. Oh, sick burn. Sick burn from Smooth Jam, California. Bringing in Mamma Mia to the discussion. Saying Mamma Mia is better than anything. Those some fighting words right there, I tell you. Cynical Centra says, you need to put a bungee cord on Captain Marvel so you can fling it multiple times. That's a great idea, Cynical. I need to put like a hole through it, put like a little piece of string. That way I can just drag it back every single time and be like, wait, you're talking about this movie? Let me get it on my fishing line. That'd be even better. Put it on a fishing line and then I can just reel it back in every single time. If only I had the creative juices to actually make that contraption happen. Wouldn't that be something? Jay Stowe says, have you played Frisbee with your dogs with that copy of Captain Marvel? Not yet, but that's a great idea. I kind of wonder if they would go get it. But again, I don't really want them getting that much closer to the movie than they already are, for fear for their health. CWD Trixie says, the only good thing I've seen from Star Wars trailer was the return of Y-Wings and B-Wings instead of those lame, barely working TLJ bombers. Someone else that would very much agree with you, CWD, is actually Cynical Centrist. That was like the first thing she pointed out, saying, I'm so excited that at least this element's back. And it's glad that we can find at least some things like that, like such minute things to go, ooh, something good. There's something we could always find that's good, right? And again, I think that if that makes you excited, great. That's awesome. For me, it's more of, it just can't. Blake Hamlet says, if Arnold Schwarzenegger wanted merchandise of himself on the open market, he would have to approve it and sign off on it. Interesting. Smoothie Eye California says, you're telling me that Endgame is the highest grossing film before inflation is taken into account? Well, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Only after inflation matters. It's what should matter, because it's what's real, right? You know, $10 today is not what $10 was worth back in 1923. And if we're going to try and say, oh, but they're essentially the same, it doesn't work that way. So that's what's going on here with the Endgame numbers. It's the highest grossing film of all time. Asterisk, before you adjust for inflation, when I think 3 or 4 films end up beating it. Let me try and see if I can pull up that list of the highest grossing films after inflation. Grossing films adjusted for inflation. All right, let's see what we got here. Yeah, Endgame. So the highest grossing movies of all time go Gone with the Wind, Titanic, Avatar, Star Wars, and then Star Wars #1, New Hope, which became a New Hope, but it's just Star Wars. And then Avengers Endgame. So it's up there. It's made a lot of money. I'm not trying to downplay that it's made a lot of money. But when they keep saying, oh, it's the highest grossing film of all time, it's like, yeah, not exactly. And if you go just based on domestic gross, it's number 16 behind Avatar, Ben-Hur, Empire, 101 Dalmatians, the original animated, Force Awakens, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Exorcist, Dr. Zhivago, Jaws, 10 Commandments, Titanic, E.T., Sound of Music, Star Wars, Gone with the Wind. Those are the highest grossing movies when you adjust for inflation, and that's just in the domestic market itself. Yeah, Gone with the Wind made a crap ton of money. It's insane. Let me see if I can figure out adjusted for inflation. Where is it? Adjusted for inflation. So it just gives me the domestic total. So I don't get a worldwide total. It would make sense because obviously different currencies, different markets, their inflation would be different, so I'm sure they wouldn't be able to figure that out. But it's amazing that a film from 1939, Gone with the Wind is still the highest grossing film when you adjust for inflation just in the United States. It made $1.82 billion when you adjust for inflation. That's amazing. Compared to Avengers Endgame, Gone with the Wind made $1 billion more. Gone with the Wind made $1 billion more than Avengers Endgame did when you just look at the domestic grosses. So which means that if Gone with the Wind had taken place during today, obviously there's a lot of other things and factors, so just go with me on this. If it happened in today's world where it would get released in different markets, it probably would have made more. Not much more, because it's definitely not a world movie. It's definitely an American story and an American-centric audience. However, it is interesting to think that just in the domestic market alone, Avengers Endgame is still ranked 16th. But no, it's number 1. What's the thing on the posters and on the trailers? Oh, it's the number 1 highest grossing film of all time. Yeah, before you adjust for inflation. Alex McCarthy says, caught a few episodes of Carnival Row. It's pretty good so far, and then I heard Star Wars rumors, and now I'm sad. Yeah, no, Alex McCarthy, I hear you. I finished Carnival Row, and I will say that the overall story I like. The overall story I like. The acting I like. My biggest criticism, and you've heard this a lot from me, is just the completely unnecessary sex and nudity. It doesn't happen a lot. I think there's one scene per episode. There's 8 episodes total. And I think there might even be an episode or 2 where there's nothing. But every time they happen, it's there. They're exposing and shooting it in a certain way so that way you see. But then the scene ends and it's like, okay, this didn't add anything. You could have literally not shown any of that and it wouldn't have changed the story. And to me, if you're going to have a scene that's going to have no impact on the actual story or on the actual character development, why have it? Oh, but it's showing their emotion. It's showing their relationship. You can show that without the unnecessary, because basically there's nudity that's artistic, and then there's pornographic nudity. And unfortunately, it seems most shows on HBO, on Showtime, now on Amazon Prime, basically any of the premium services where they can, push the boundaries of content. It's sad that most of them just go for the cheap pops, right? A wrestling term, they go for the cheap pops. They say, oh, we're here in this city right here, and now everyone's cheering. Oh, look at that, it's a sex scene. Now all the guys are happy. I mean, it's so unfortunate. It really is, because it's unnecessary. And again, it just doesn't, to me, it takes something away from it, because what it shows is that they're not as creative as you thought that they were. Imagine a show that could actually handle it. For example, I'll give you a good example of a show that I would say has more artistic type. That would be something I would say like Westworld. Westworld has a bit of both though, right? Westworld definitely has scenes where you're like, I'm not sure. But a lot of the nudity in that show is a lot more artistic, right? It's not about trying to expose and get a reaction from the audience, but rather it's about trying to say, hey, this is the human body. This is what the human body looks like. Notice how that's different. Like that's artistically minded. When it becomes sexual, that's when it becomes pornographic. And it's just, I just hate it. I really do hate it. Much love to you, Drunk 3PO. I saw that in the chat. But other than those scenes, Carnival Row is a great show. It's got a great story to it. Seth says, just Sharon, dude, watching Fellowship on the big screen was amazing. Too much man tears and goosebumps coming out of me. That's awesome, man. That's fantastic. I really wish that I could have had a chance to see it myself. I don't know if it's playing near me soon, but man, that sounds awesome. Glinzer said, wasn't Avatar's success owed to 3D? It's not a big deal. So yeah, getting back to that point of the 3D. So yeah, that was the comment that I read first when I shouldn't have. So 3D was a big part of it, but it was also because it was in theaters forever. They were able to keep that movie in theaters forever. And realistically, a crap ton of people went to go see it. Again, you don't become a film that, it's top 15, 876 million. So it's still made more. So it's funny that Endgame's like, oh yeah, we made more money. When you just break it down by totals, Avatar actually, even when you adjust for inflation, Avatar made more domestically. And I would assume also made more in the foreign market too, but it's a lot harder to do that when you don't understand the markets and everything like that. Because obviously China, to me, I look at that government, I say, okay, that's a communist government. It's going to be very hard to really say how much the value of their currency is when they're already propping up their currency even to this day. It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to figure that out because of what they're doing, right? It really is tough. All right. Let's see. Chat looks like chat jumped on me, so we're at 7:14 in the chat. So if your comment was skipped, I'm very sorry, but this is what I deal with because it's YouTube. Seth says, good idea, Odin thinks. At first I did try to rename it, then it went back to Seth again automatically, said couldn't change for 90 days. Yeah, it only allows you to change it every so often, but if you create a brand new account, then you can name it whatever it is that you want. Signal Centra says, I remember someone saying that Palpatine's theme and Rey's theme were similar. Might have been my kid, don't remember. Well, if that's the case, then we could definitely go back in time and say, oh, it was all there. It was all there right in front of us all along. Darth Morrill says, Dave Chappelle gave me faith in humanity. Sadly, Rotten Tomatoes doesn't represent the majority, mostly made up of shills. Hashtag screw shills. Yeah, man. Speaking of there's not much I can really say about the Dave Chappelle special because there are definitely a lot of jokes in there that are extremely inappropriate. But I will say this much. I think that the way critics are going after him and the way sites like Rotten Tomatoes are going after him out of purely political means, they're not going after them because the jokes aren't objectively good. They're not going after him because the jokes are, cheap. It's because they don't agree with what he's saying. If he had made the same type of jokes with the same type of jokes with the same type of just rawness to them, but he was saying something in the political opposite direction, they would praise it. It would have one of the highest scores of all time. But because they don't agree with what they're saying, what he's saying politically, they have to take it down. And I think that if you've seen the special, the joke that he says, and then the explanation that he gives about the trans person that he met and the conversation that he had with that person after the fact, to me, is what everything, like basically the guy, the person says, jokes about me, you joking about people like me, you joking about my community is what normalizes us, and that's a good thing. And it's a very interesting way of thinking about it because most people don't think of jokes in that way. And I think when Dave Chappelle explained that, I was like, you know what? There's so much truth to that statement. Even though he was making a joke, even though he was being crude with it, the conversation that he revealed with an actual person who said, I love your content, even the jokes, because it basically pointed out saying the person laughed even harder. Came to see his show several nights in a row, laughed even harder during those jokes that you would think that they would have not laughed for. But he says, no. I think that that's the kind of approach that we need to take, I don't know. But yeah, the shills on Rotten Tomatoes are really giving a bad name for themselves, that's for sure. Grandmaster Yoda says, if this leaks are true, they retcon like anything in Star Wars, and that is worse. Episode 8. Episode 9 is the last film from Disney I will see at theaters at the moment. Well, I mean, I'm already there, man. I am already there because there's nothing that they can really offer me at this point. All right, back over on D Live. Captain Dean Heiss, thank you for the 2 ice cream. And Captain Poppyton, thank you for the lemon donation. I appreciate it. Remember that if you're on D Live, because now almost everyone is a captain right now, if you want to have a comment or have a question, just put @Odin at the very beginning of your comments and I'll read it. But with all the captains now, I can't differentiate between that and anyone else. So thanks, Captain Roy, for giving all the subscriptions the other time. Sentinel Central says, I don't think I'm going to get my Alita Blu-ray back anytime soon. She's still making her way around the office. There is a waiting list. Damn. And I think that speaks volumes. I would say, I would try Cynical to see what the interest around them watching a Captain Marvel Blu-ray would be. Or how many of them own it. Or how many of them would want to see it. Mira Jeremy says, have you seen this YouTube video gaining traction? It's called The Empire Was Right in Star Wars by Jim Huss, ENT. No, I have not. Latin is awesome. I saw someone say it's a cool language. It's so cool. I really want to learn it. And that's the beauty of the Latin Mass is that you don't need to know Latin. Realistically, you don't. If you get a missal, and oftentimes they have this free little bare basics missal that they offer. If you can just pay attention to what the priest is doing, you know where you are in the Mass. And a lot of the prayers are very similar. And I think a lot of people don't realize just how similar they are. Jay Stowe says, why don't they just subvert our expectations again and make a Rey a Skypatine or a Pal Walker? Well, that's probably what they'll end up doing, right? They'll probably, I could totally see them creating a brand new name based on the others. John O says, Allfather, Zack Snyder's Batman is gone, and I'm glad. It's time to step away from the legacy of comic book writer Frank Miller. It's not Frank Miller that needs to be stepped away from. It's the vision of Zack Snyder that needs to be stepped away from. And I know that Zack Snyder fans are not going to like me saying that. But at the end of the day, his films just aren't very good. They don't age well, and overall, they're just lacking anything. Frank Miller, I would say, though, is not a bad writer. Again, I'm not a comic book connoisseur by any means, but anytime that I've heard Frank Miller attached to stories, I know that most people say that they're their favorite stories from Batman. So I would say that's probably not what you're thinking. Tina says, I want to know where Palpatine's engineers are. Where did he get the money to build them? Where are the shipbuilders? Which shipyards did they use? That's a great question, Tina. So part of the rumors from Reddit is that Palpatine is going to be behind the building of this giant fleet of not just the Star Destroyers, but of Death Star Destroyers. That's going to be the name. Now, of course, that is the one part of the rumor where that might not be true. Because Disney's dumb. I don't know if they're that dumb to name something that. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that they do name it that, Death Star Destroyers. Where did he get the resources? You're right. Where did he get... And even better, how is it that he was able to build a giant battalion, a plethora of these destroyers, in a span of 30 years without anyone noticing? You do realize that takes a lot of material, a lot of raw material. And if you're going to argue he got it all from the unknown regions and no one goes to the unknown regions, well, then you got to explain why. Then you got to explain the Yuzhan Vong? I probably am mispronouncing it. But then you have to go into all these different details and they have to go into all the different things. And then you just start diving down a rabbit hole that's going to leave a lot of people in the dust. And I just don't see them doing that, which means they're more likely just to take a really simplistic approach to it all, I would say. Rosetta Allen says, I don't like the new Terminator, and the new Star Wars looks as crappy as the last, plus Duck Fisney. Always Duck Fisney, but that's not grief talking. Yeah, I mean, prayers going out to you, Rosetta. Everyone, if you could please send your thoughts and prayers to Rosetta Allen. Lost a family member recently, and we are there for you, Rosetta. So once again, prayers heading out to you for sure. Hope everything's fine with your family. Bruce says, I'm hoping that this new Terminator, along with Star Wars and the new Marvel phase, etc., will cause a shift in movie trends, maybe back to the original material. Well, I honestly think you might see something like that, right? Because what happened after Avatar's success? Every single studio started making everything in 3D, right? Started post-converting so many movies to 3D. It was a trend. It was awful. It was disgusting. I worked at a theater during that time when it was still very popular, and I can tell you those 3D glasses were a pain to give out, and most of the time we got complaints about them because, 3D sucks. It's a gimmick more so than anything else. But eventually people stopped buying it. They wised up. And now you don't really see a whole lot of 3D releases anymore, right? It's very rare that you see a 3D release. Only like the big films really get 3D releases anymore. And even then, sometimes it can be kind of scarce as to what theaters actually show them. So I think that you might eventually see this push back to old school storytelling, right? Especially if films like The Joker are successful. Because someone posted a picture, and I think they tagged me on Twitter, if I remember correctly, where they had the Joker image right next to the Logan image. And I thought to myself, those are just great movies to compare based on what we're hearing from the Joker. It's not a typical hero story. It's not a typical villain story. Some people always say, I'm so tired of the deconstruction of the hero. This isn't a hero. At best, this is the deconstruction of the villain. And I think that's something that's worth talking about. And why is it that the Turkish people always find my chats on DLive and then just spam it? I don't understand. Every single time, they always find me. Also, 14 minutes ago, Jeremy Tatonen, thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. Over on DLive, Captain Peabody says, Disney sucks because I have to wear 3D sucks because I have to wear glasses over my glasses. Not all that comfortable. Yeah, exactly right. And we got that complaint a lot too because they were very small, right? They were very small and they were not made for people with glasses. So it was also kind of going against people, also just people with eye trouble, right? Even if you have corrected vision, sometimes things don't work the same way. Some people get headaches. Some people, it's again, that's why it's more of a gimmick than anything else. And I think just like with 3D, you'll see a lot of other things end up falling by the wayside very soon, hopefully. But obviously that means that we have to start standing up and not seeing the movies, not supporting them. That's the only way things are going to change. Captain Poppyden says, I deal with it all the time, talking about the Turkish spammers over on DLive. Yeah, seriously. It's sad. All right, back over to YouTube. Alex McCarthy says, Terminator Genesis is one of those where lots and lots of flaws, but I still like it. I mean, it's an RL movie. Damn. Dude, Alex McCarthy, you just keep digging a bigger and bigger hole for yourself, man. You like every bad movie that's ever come out, including the worst, R.I.P.D. How dare you? How dare you? Darth Morrill says, I'm slowly giving up on Hollywood. They are now claiming black Trump supporters are mentally ill. Yeah, I heard about that recently. And also, you have now people in Hollywood that are calling for a blacklist. They want to know any actor, any person that supports Trump, and that it should be publicized, and that their careers, their jobs should be affected by it. That's disturbing. There was an article on AV Club. When you hear the words AV Club, what do you think about? Movies, film? This article was all about attacking Trump. There was so much cursing and language in it, and it was purely political. And it was complaining about people being critical of Deborah Messing, who recently said that there needs to be a Hollywood blacklist for Trump supporters. That's insane. I don't care if you supported Obama, Trump, Clinton, Bush. I don't care who you supported. All I care about is who you are as a person. Are you a good person? Are you, in Hollywood, a good actor? Other than those things, I don't care. And if you're going to try and say that we should be judged by who we support politically, you are insane. You are truly insane, and you're the ones that should be locked up. Oh, no, you can't say that. Obviously, I don't believe it. I don't think anyone should be, I don't think anyone should be affected for their views, but that's just the whole point. No one should be affected for their views as long as they're not harming anybody. But you know who is harming people? Antifa. Oh, no, you can't say that. No, that's just a few bad apples. Really? Have you been to Portland lately? Do you want to go to Portland? There's subscribers from Portland all the time sending me images, sending me stories, and it's scary. So if you are that much of an Antifa supporter, how about you go and give a speech in Portland and see how that turns out for you? Yeah, let's see. Rosetta Allen says, Mamma Mia is stupid, but then again, look at modern movies. Yeah, seriously. Soul Assassin says, I would have liked to see a Terminator movie that took place in the future, but in the style of the flashbacks from the first 2 films. It would be cool. Maybe one day, because they're going to reboot it again, because as I said, it comes out on All Saints Day. They will need all the saints in heaven, all the armies of heaven, to make a cent of profit on this film. If this film makes profit, they must have made a deal with the devil, because it just doesn't scream profit to me, especially when you look at every film this year and how Godzilla King of the Monsters, which I would have looked at and said, hey, might not be for me, but it looks like $1 billion film. That film didn't even break like $400 million. That film didn't even, last time I checked, that film didn't even make a profit at the box office. I think it's going to make a profit, on home release. But I mean, if a film like that can't make money, how in the hell is Terminator Dark Fate going to make money when not even the trailers look good? I mean, my biggest critique of the Godzilla trailers was that they showed too much. They showed way too much monster design. They kind of exposed that a little too much too early. And I think that might have actually hurt the film. Also, the fact that it was more of a human story than a Godzilla story and a Godzilla movie. And some people have been trying to defend it still to this day. But yeah, it's sad. Don't worry, man. They're going to reboot it one day. They will reboot it one day. Cinema Queen, hail to you. Single Center says, heck, all you need to make your Captain Marvel thingy is fishing line and duct tape. You're in Tennessee. Someone has both in their truck. That's a great point, Cynical. That is an excellent point. I'm sure I've got students that have that in their truck. 70B says, Gone with the Men. Yes, Gone with the Men. That's a movie that is strictly for Stephanie and Tina. Gone with the Men. That has Tina and Steph's name all over it. Gone with the Men. Is that really what I said? Alex McCarthy saying, Gone with the Men. That is sexist. I can't believe I actually said that. That's hilarious. Well, Hollywood, listen up. If you want to get a strong female audience, Gone with the Men. It's there. And I'll give you that one for free. Glenzer said, aside from top grossing, isn't Blair Witch Project the most profitable? Yeah. So most profitable, I believe the first Paranormal Activity beat Blair Witch. So by profitability, we mean how much did it cost to make the film versus how much profit did it make. So it's percentage based more than anything else. And yeah, last time I checked, Paranormal Activity 1 is the highest grossing percentage wise compared to how much was put into the film. Blair Witch was for a long time because it cost thousands. Like, it didn't even crack $1 million production budget. It cost thousands to make, and it ended up making millions of dollars, multiple millions of dollars. It's insane. Let's see. Orange Chat Reviews. Oh, sorry. Mir Jeremy says, speaking of Gone with the Wind and Titanic, what are your thoughts on them? I think Gone with the Wind is the most overrated movie ever. Titanic is a fantastic masterpiece. No, Titanic needs to cut an hour off its time. Titanic can cut an hour off and be a better film. Titanic is overblown. Titanic is overrated because there's a lot of crap in there that's not necessary. Gone with the Wind is an epic masterpiece. It's an epic masterpiece. It's not overrated at all. It's a film that is taught and will continue to be taught in schools. Titanic will too, for different reasons, I would say. But man, if you want to know how to tell a great story, long-form storytelling, Gone with the Wind is the way to go, man. So no, you're wrong. You're wrong on that. Orange Eye Review said, did you see Blinded by the Light? The one with the kid that likes Springsteen. The movie was a truly feel-good movie. No, I did not. I didn't have any interest in it. One, I'm not a big Springsteen fan, and it wasn't my cup of tea. Tina says, Gone with the Wind was released in other countries, such as Europe, before the war broke out. Well, Tina, thank you so much. And once again, you've proven that you need your own YouTube channel because you know so much information, and the people need to know it. Well, but I guess what I meant by that, Tina, is that it was definitely not getting released in countries like China. where you have Disney now in giant deals with China, so that way they get their films out there and everything to that effect. And I said, if they had that kind of backing, I think it would have made even more money. Maybe not as much just because of the fact that it was more of an American story, but yes, that makes sense. 70B says, you said new did. You're right. I did say that. You're right. Rosetta Allen says, to be fair on autistic versus sexual, we do have a sect of society that views the difference between the size of the chest of the female involved, which is just weird. Yeah. I still don't quite understand that either. I really don't. And again, I think that's where you get back to artistic versus pornographic, right? I think that is more based in a pornographic mindset than on an artistic mindset, right? Because if you look to art over the centuries, it was never about size of anything, right? It was just about the beauty of the human body. So notice how that's very different than what we see now in a lot of modern television and a lot of modern films, where it's not about showing the beauty of the body, it's rather trying to exploit the body to get a reaction. Anytime that happens, that's what we describe as being pornographic, right? Because it's when it's become sexualized. And it really has no place in modern society. You might not agree with me, but that's where I stand on it. All right, chat jumped to me over on YouTube. We're at 733 in the chat, but let me go ahead over to DLive because we got a lot of people over on DLive right now. So thank you so much for watching on DLive. What's going on, my peeps? Will Gentry over there says, I think it's because I wear glasses over my glasses that 3D movies just look 2D to me. Yeah, again, they don't think about people with eye conditions, which is a lot of people when you come to think about it. Daniel Thorne says, I checked out Midsommar, the director's cut. It was pretty good. I haven't seen the original cut. I've been wanting to see it, but just haven't had the time to. Well, Gentry says, oh, and good evening to you, good sir. Daniel Thorne says, yeah, 3D movies are annoying. The brightness and quality seem to drop versus watching them normally. Well, it has to be, so, having worked at a theater, it has to be lower light because the glasses that you wear are designed for the lower light. So that's why it's dimmer, actually. Because that's just the way the technology is designed, is it has to be in order to work properly. If it wasn't, your eyes would be destroyed, which is why you should never, and this is actually true, never wear 3D glasses outside of a 3D movie, especially in the sun. They're not sunglasses. They will ruin your eyes. It will do eye damage to you because they are built and designed for very low light scenarios. And I found out about that actually because I was, again, working at a theater, was wearing them because there was a special design for a movie release and decided just to wear them during one of my shifts. And it was me and a couple other people were wearing them. And then all of a sudden, one of our supervisors came up to us and said, hey, you probably don't want to do that because you're out and there's sun shining through. It's going to do damage to your eyes. I said, oh, damn. So we found a way around it. We ended up just punching out the 3D lenses and just wearing the frames. It was great. It was great. And the joke that we ended up making was because there was the AMC Stubs program. And so we took a selfie and then I was like, oh, you need to tag it the AMC Studs because it was me and two other guys. Oh man, good times. I miss it. There are times when I miss it. The times when people weren't around were the best times because then it was just us chatting and talking about just random things. It was great. Frank the Bunny says, it's how my mama's raised me, says Frank. All right, back over. Frank says, Titanic and Romeo and Juliet is the reason I grew up disliking Leonardo DiCaprio. Glad he's changed my mind since. Yeah, I mean, I like his performances in those movies that you just mentioned. However, I can see why it would annoy some people because it's a very different type of performance than what he does now, I would say. There's something different to it. Kathleen Peabody says, Kathleen Kennedy causes damage to the eyes. Damn, son. Ooh, damn. Ooh, spitting that hot fire. Spitting that hot fire, Kathleen Kennedy. All right, back over to YouTube at 7:33 p.m., 7:49 where I am, which means I am behind in the chat. Once again, Smooth Jam California says, the big local cinema near me is having some screenings of the Lord of the Rings trilogy extended cuts in December. I think I'll go and see one of them instead of Rise of Skywalker. Probably Two Towers. Two Towers, I think, is the best. And some people argue different points on that. I think that many people tend to like Fellowship the most. But the reason why I think Two Towers might be the better of the films, it's definitely not Return of the King. Return of the King's great, and I like all of them. But Two Towers has one of the greatest battle sequences in film history. So that's where I stand on that one. Two Towers is fantastic. Venom Broly says, Endgame is poorly written movie. I'm so happy having read the spoilers of the movie and never watched it. It's a terribly written. I mean, there are so many plot holes. It's plot holes galore. It's sad. Alex McCarthy says, my guess is old Pappy been Netflix and scheming. Damn, Alex McCarthy. That old Palpatine's been not just Netflix and chilling, but Netflix and scheming. Sounds about right, man. That sounds about right. Mad Mitch says, they got that idea from the EU with the Katana fleet. Ooh. Ah, yes. Yuzan Vong is greater than the First Order. Thank you. The Yuzan Vong. That's what I was thinking about. And Hypern, your name is back, I see. There you go. That's how you do it, man. You got to get around the system. But Mad Mitch, that's right. The Katana fleet. I was that in the Thrawn duology? Was that in? Because one of the books that I read, they dealt with the Katana fleet. But it also wasn't as many ships as it seems to have indicated, at least in the trailer. It was a lot of ships, but I don't think it was that many. Bruce says, I had thought about sending you a stuffed Captain Marvel doll chew toy for summer and winter. Ooh, Bruce. That sounds like a good option because that they will destroy. Smooth Jam California says, if you've ever watched an interview of Frank Miller talk about Batman, he talks about him as if he was real and could walk into the room then and there. He understands Batman like no one else. Bam, there you go, Smooth Jam California. And again, I know nothing about comics, but anytime I hear someone talk about Frank Miller's Batman, it's normally seen and loved, you know? And Hornchat says, you pronounced Yuzan Vong perfectly. I forgot the name. I'm glad I did, because I had completely forgotten the name overall, because it's only been mentioned a couple times in the books that I've read. Venom Broly says, Wokenator Dark Fate will be so bad that Genesis will look so good in comparison. Yeah, probably. And that's definitely not a good thing, that's for sure. Frank the Bunny, thank you for the ice cream donation over on DLive, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Reese Allen, no, it's not a rerun. I am not a rerun. I stream to both YouTube and DLive at the same time, and I balance the chats. Because if we were on DLive, there'd be a lot of dead space. There would be a lot of dead silence because not enough people watch over there. Sadly enough. Super says, ultimately, I agree with you. But for context, Frank Miller's Batman stuff is not canon. It's not typical Bruce Wayne. Some of his Batman stuff is great, and others were huge bombs. All right, Super. I think that's probably... Super tends to always come in with, I think, the most reasonable and sensible approach. And that seems to make the most sense, right? That his approach was not typical canon, and so therefore, some of it was really good, some of it was really bad. But I hear that his really good stuff is like, people love it. People think it's some of the best stuff that's ever done for Batman. Spoojack California says, now that you've got your Captain Marvel DVD, you know what's next. Someone needs to send you a copy of Endgame to complete your collection. Yes, of course. You know someone's going to do that, right? Like Smoojam, you, when you say comments like that, there's someone who's like, yes, I will be the one. I will be the one. Because every time now I bring up this Captain Marvel Blu-ray, I bring up Bruce. Because Bruce is the one that gifted it to me so that I could throw it ahead behind my back. Glonald Dover says, trying to get JJ to explain things on screen is like asking a child to explain why there's a mess on the bathroom floor. They usually look at you with vacant eyes and then they run away. Yeah, I gave up on actually watching his interviews because he doesn't have any idea what he's talking about. Bumber the Hobbit says, I saw the new Chinese animation, Nisha, Sha. I think it's Sha pronounced, in IMAX 3D, and I loved it. Very cool, Bumber the Hobbit. I don't know if it's playing near where I am, but that's a film that's growing up there at the box office because, obviously China is freaking huge. Worldwide box office sales, that film is ranked number 9. It's already made $583 million in China. I don't know if it's been, it's been released in some places here, $149,000 here in the States versus $583 million. Like, not even enough to change the $1 million mark is how much money that film has made. That is incredible. Wandering Earth also did huge over there, $699.8 million. That was also another China release. Bruce says, I recall hating that everything was coming out in 3D after Avatar. I had to wait until the last Resident Evil came out on Blu-ray since all the theater showings were in 3D. Yeah, seriously. And I think that we're going to get that again when Avatar 2 comes out in 2021. I was looking at the release schedule because, guys, the website has been updated. OMB Reviews is back, baby. It's going to be a lot more limited than it was before. I'm not going to be as quick updating it as I was over the summer. And then, of course, I fell into that lull where it was like there were so many changes I had to make. There were so many updates and movies I had to move around to different categories and everything. Several movies that have now changed. Like, for example, Sonic has now a 2020 release date. Judy, the Judy Garland film, with not Reese Witherspoon, Renee Zellweger. That film finally has a release date too, and a bunch of other things like that. I had forgotten that Artemis Fowl, Disney's Artemis Fowl, was supposed to have come out in August of this year and got pushed back. So yeah, there was a lot of really cool things, seeing all the movies and all the time shifting around. Rosetta Allen says, sticking strobes and everything as well. Can't go out without strobe breaker shades anymore. Oh, yeah, for sure. Glenzer says, everyone in Hollywood, especially Deborah Messing, should watch Guilty by Suspicion. Oh, is that about the McCarthy? Is that about McCarthyism a little bit, maybe? Red Scare? Alice McCarthy himself says, but the thing is, if it didn't have Arnold, I wouldn't watch Terminator Genesis. With that said, Woke Fate might be the first one I skip, but there's Arnold in it. So by your own logic, Alex, you have to see it and you have to love it. Over on DLive, Will Gentry says, hey, if you just streamed here on DLive, at least you'd be able to keep up with the chat. That's true, Will. I would never fall behind in the chat. You're totally right. Captain Dean High says, DLive crowd is small but mighty like female Thor. No, not like female Thor, because y'all are actually mighty. But yes, y'all are a small but mighty group for sure. You put all of the everything else to shame. You guys freaking rock. I love my DLive fam. My DLive fam gives me life, gives me blood running through my veins. John Winkler says, did McCarthy come back from the grave while we weren't looking? It seems like it, man. So McCarthyism is back now in Hollywood, and now it's if you like Trump, you're done. I always have to read this one. Nessa Nason says, can we get a blacklist of any person in Hollywood who ever supported Harvey Weinstein? That would be like half or more of the people in Hollywood. Maybe things might change. Boom. I would say that's the best refute of anything Deborah Messing and her ilk would say. There should be a blacklist of Trump supporters. You come back. How about a blacklist of people that supported Harvey Weinstein? How about we get a list of people that knew Harvey Weinstein was doing these things? Because people knew, and there are people that know names, but they're not saying anything. Why? Because they protect their own. How about we go there instead? Why don't we go with something actually relevant, right? Where people's lives are being destroyed, where people's lives are being ruined because of this culture that's been built up in Hollywood. How about we do that instead? Huh? Deborah? Nessa Nason, thank you so much for that, man. That's a great point. D9 says, 3D movies promoted discrimination against us folks with glasses. I'm going to sue. Boom, dude. You know what? In 2019, you could sue. And there's a judge. There is at least one judge out there that would let you win the case. To sue because 3D movies discriminate against people with glasses. That's the world we live in today. Tommy says, you said a dirty word there, Odin. Thou shalt not talk of Antifa. Yeah, you're right. Sorry about that. Jay Stowe says, reboots. You can't handle reboots. Nope. No, I can't. Darth Morrill says, over in Eastern Europe, they are destroying wokeness, and Antifa don't stand a chance against Polish police. Sadly, the same isn't for the UK and France. Well, because there's some countries, just like there's some cities in the US, that allow these crazy people to just go off and say, oh, there's nothing we can do. Yes, there is. You arrest them. Oh, but they're doing mostly peaceful things. Mostly peaceful. That means to insinuate that they're doing some things that aren't peaceful, and that's what you can arrest them for the things that aren't peaceful, for the destruction of private property, for the destruction of public property, for hurting people. Lord. It's like, does someone have to tell you how to do your job? And to be honest, it's usually not the cops' fault either. Normally, it's the city. It's the city. It's the higher ups in the hierarchy of the cities that's saying, no, you can't do anything. Because the cops would be like, hey, we could do stuff, but we're being told not to. That is the crime. The true crime is what's being done to tie the hands of the people, the men and women that serve us day to day here in the United States. Our police are treated like trash. Are there bad cops? Sure. Just like there's bad teachers, there's bad priests, there's bad, you name it. Any group or organization, there's gonna be bad apples. It does not matter. Just because they are a cop does not mean they are more prone to something. Just because they are a priest does not mean they are more prone to something. Just because they are a teacher does not mean they are more prone to something, right? It's the exception, not the rule. And we live in a world now where all of a sudden the exception is the rule. And it's like, no, that's not how reality works. Most cops, the vast majority of cops are good, hardworking people that unfortunately don't get the respect they deserve. And it's crap like this with Antifa. It's crap like this like Portland. And you know it's people like the mayor of Portland, you know it's people in the higher-ups, again, in politics, that are allowing and forcing and tying the hands of their officers. It's disgusting. And I know one person in this chat who can totally speak from experience with that, and that would be Tina. Again, Tina worked, with police for a long time. So she knows better than anyone the things that they have to go through. Seriously. Hybrid says, Hollywood making more reboots is clinically depressing. It's like they're making their own health pyramid version as a reboot pyramid sandwich. Yeah, seriously, right? Yeah, the thing that you should have the least amount of is reboots, and yet where are we right now in Hollywood? Actually, that's a great example. If we look at movies and how movies should be made, if you like a pyramid, the thing that should be the smallest, you would think would be reboots, right? Bottom should be what? Original stories? Huh? And then maybe you go up, maybe a sequel. Obviously I don't have time right now to think on my feet to break down all the categories, but I would say reboots would definitely be nearer the top. 70B says, I know a girl named Antifa. Oh, damn. I bet people think of her name much differently now in 2019 than they would have beforehand. Bruce says, watch Tim Pool. He spoke about the straight pride people having fun and getting a laugh out of it. Straight pride, while Antifa got so out of hand, they assaulted the police. Yeah, exactly. Again, I'm not much one for parades in the first place. Like, even I, in New Orleans, hated Mardi Gras because I just hated the concept. So I'm not a fan of parades, no matter what is being supported or what is being talked about, right? But at the very least, like, they were like, no, we're doing this because we can. We're doing this because we can. Again, as you said, had a laugh, and yet Antifa is going so crazy that they're being arrested. Tina says, no, not Gone with the Men. 70B and I love men. And did you say Gone with the Men? And you did say Gone with the Men. Okay. All right, I got you, Tina. I don't know. It seems like that would be the mood for you. John Early says, you don't listen, do you? You ask the same questions every week. How's your job? Are you experiencing any negative thoughts? And all I have are negative thoughts, I think you meant to say. Arthur Fleck, Joker Night 2019. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, you're just quoting the trailer. Okay, gotcha. No, why are you quoting the trailer, man? Sales Center says, can everyone in the chat recommend some stuff to watch? Just finished The Expanse. As I said, Carnival Row's good, except for the really unnecessary sex scenes. It's completely unnecessary. The Shiato says, I believe California has a law preventing discrimination based on political beliefs. Guess it's another, those laws don't apply to us cause reasons. Yeah, pretty much. It's amazing that there are so many different laws on the books, and yet they don't exist for some reason. Like, there are anti-discrimination laws against treating people differently based on gender, and yet people think we need to pass an Equality Act. There's already laws in the books if you're being discriminated against. There's a law protecting you from that. You can literally sue a person and be supported because there are laws on the books. It is illegal to do that. Why do we need more laws? We don't need more laws. We have way too many laws. We already have way too many. It's because it's not about the message of the law, right? It's not about equality. It's about something much more than that, right? Tina says, Cameron had the benefit of using Titanic historians, and he wanted to use way too much. Gone with the Wind is tight, not a wasted scene. I would agree with that, for sure. I mean, it's a epic, and it's a timeless epic at that, I would say. All right, chat jumped on me again. So very sorry. Let's see where we are in the chat. Mir Jeremy. So I'm at 747 in the chat right now. It's 8:04, so boom, I'm still behind. That's what happens, though. Mir Jeremy says, Gone with the Wind sucks and is longer, but agreed on Titanic being a tad too long. Kind of how I feel with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I thought each scene was about 5 minutes too long. See, Once Upon a Time needed an editor, right? I love the movie. It's one of my favorites of this year. No question in my mind. It is a bit long in the tooth, but more specifically, the scenes are not cut nearly as seamlessly. Gone with the Wind is an amazing film, man. You're wrong on that. You're not going to win that battle, bruv. There's a reason why it is the highest grossing film in U.S. history. There's a reason why many consider it to be one of the greatest films of all time, right? That doesn't mean that you have to like it. You don't have to like, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Citizen Kane, but even I, where I'm like, yeah, Citizen Kane's not that great, can admit it is objectively one of the greatest well-made films of all time. That film did so many things that have affected film history and will continue to affect film history forever. So, I mean, again, You can dislike a film, subjectively speaking, but you don't have a right to your own objective fact. It is a well-made film. It is objectively a good film. Just like the example I just gave you about why I don't like Citizen Kane subjectively. However, I will always admit and say, nope, objectively speaking, it's great. So, you're wrong. Smoothie California says, but she is a doggo. She's playing one in the Disney Plus Lady and the Tramp remake along with Justin Theroux, who is also now a doggo. That's a great point, Smooth Jam. I forgot that was a thing. Glenzer says, there's 2 types of 3D, real and IMAX, and I can't tell a difference. Actually, there's even more than that. There's real D 3D, there's big D 3D, and again, there's all just different companies and how they do it. IMAX 3D, Dolby Vision 3D. There are so many more than just 2 types of 3D, and there's essentially no difference between the two except the size of the screen and the technology. Cynical Center says, my daughter's 2 favorite movies are the 2 I hate the most, Titanic and Attack of the Clones. Maybe she has switched in the hospital. Maybe she was switched in the hospital. Man, Attack of the Clones? That's the worst. That's one of the worst. I don't count Disney Star Wars in the discussion just because screw that. It's not canon. But out of the canonical films, Attack of the Clones is by far the worst. Star Wars Episode 2 is a terrible movie. I hate it. Tina says, I love Two Towers. I wish Return had been released in the full director's cut that we got on video. It felt like something was missing in the theatrical version. Well, here's the problem, even with both. The endings. I still can't get over the Thousandfinity endings. I don't think the endings were handled very well. I wish that had been edited differently. Aiden Vicker says, Fellowship has the best ever Sean Bean death scene, and he was given us a lot to pick from. That's a great point. And again, I love Fellowship of the Ring. And I think that there's an argument to be made that it might be the most crisp and clean of the movies. The most complete. Like, it could survive on its own. You know, Two Towers is easily a middle film, right? It's a middle movie. However, I still think it's one of the best. No question. All right, back over on the D Live peeps. Let's see what's going on over at D Live. Daniel Thorne says, what if Star Wars Episode 9, we learned Palpatine sent a fleet to the unknown regions and they returned with Grand Admiral Thrawn? I mean, there's still speculation that Thrawn's going to be brought into this story. I don't think they're that clever, though. I don't think they're that damn clever. Will Gentry says, the police seemed to have no problem dealing with Antifa in Boston at the Straight Pride Parade on Saturday. Cops ain't the problem. No, it's exactly right, Will. It ain't the cops. It's the bosses of the cops. Because guess what? They're political. Cops are usually pretty apolitical in their job, right? The law is the law, and they're there to enforce the law, to not discriminate. Politicians, on the other hand, they are a much more discriminatory group. Daniel Thorne says, oh, not a fan of bouncing Betties? Daniel Thorne, man, come on. Come on, bro. Captain Peabody says, Gone with the Wind had to be that long. It is a great film. Many would say it's a masterpiece, right? It's one of the few masterpieces in Hollywood. And as Tina said, there's not a wasted scene in the film. How often can you say that about a film? That it's especially a film that's over 3 hours, getting close to 4, that there's not even a wasted moment in it. Seriously. Smooth Jack California says, Two Towers is my favorite for so many reasons, but all 3 are excellent, and Return of the King was a great finale, much better than Endgame. Oh, for sure. It's a great film. Don't get me wrong. Every film in the Lord of the Rings franchise is great. However, I think that the first 2 are much better films overall. Bruce says, what would be best for summer and winter? An 8-inch chew toy or a 12-inch one? You'd be able to handle and toss the bigger one better. It's up to you, Bruce, man. They'll appreciate it either way. If there's a squeak in it, I mean, it's not going to last very long. Smooth Jack California says, come to think of it, I think Endgame is the worst finale movie I've ever seen. Return of the King, Deathly Hallows Part 2, Catching Fire, Return of Jedi are all superior films. Catching Fire might be in that realm. It's been a while since I've seen Catching Fire, for sure. But yeah, it's definitely not in good company, that's for sure. Alex Carthy says, dibs on sending you Miss Marvel Season 1 to toss around. Dear Lord. No, please no. Will Gentry says, in maybe 2 weeks, I'll have spent 100 hours watching your cynical butt. Damn, Will. That's awesome, man. That is awesome. Yeah, one of the cool things about the Heimdall bot is it'll tell you how many hours you've watched the stream at. And, I mean, I can only imagine what Tina's and Steph's are. I'm sure that they've well surpassed that, right? I was editing because I always turn my live streams into podcasts, and sometimes I fall behind. I haven't always done it, but having started this back in, let's see, where did I start this back? Uploading them as podcast episodes. Hold on. So back in March, I started uploading them back in March, and I hit 72 episodes. So this would be episode 73, technically, of the podcast. Maybe I'll start numbering them. Maybe in the titles I'll start actually numbering them. So this is episode 73 of the podcast. For all you podcasters, I'm sure there's only like a couple people that actually listen to it as a podcast, but hey, if you're one of those podcast listeners right now listening to me on your radio, you're welcome. Alice McCarthy says, "What about my ism? You know what? You know what about your ism?" Alice McCarthy. Tommy says, "Do you think the hot air the SJWs release with their constant whining is causing global warming?" Yes, Tommy. Exactly. Oh, we found it, everybody. Tommy has finally discovered the source of global warming and cooling and climate change, and it's the whining. You know how they've all lately, ever since 2016, they have these anniversaries where they like scream at the sky? Do you realize how much carbon is being released into the atmosphere when they do that? Do they understand the noise pollution that they're producing when they do that? Oh my gosh. They're destroying the earth. Peter Sharon says, "I worked for a studio where we did 3D conversion. We would not hire people due to them being depth blind, meaning they could not see the 3D, and they make 3D clip-ons for glasses." Damn, Peter. Yeah. Because, I mean, again, it's a thing. 3D doesn't always work for me either. Tina says, "Yeah, we have a chief now who will back anybody but his cops, who will back anybody but his cops, which is why we have a bunch of experienced officers retiring." That's really sad, Tina. As I said, Tina worked with the cops for a very long time, and so what she's saying there is that there's a chief that does not back her cops, does not back the cops that are going out doing their job, and a lot of them are retiring from it. That's really sad. And you know what to do? I would say that it's not necessarily the chief's fault either. I would say that his hand's probably forced in a lot of ways too, right? Because he loses his job if he doesn't. We live in a world now where he probably would lose his job if he did back his cops, right? So it's really sad overall. It really is. Oh, the world we live in today. It's so sad. We've fallen so far away from where we once were. All right, let's see. Darth Merle says, "I hate to say it, but I'm losing so much respect for Mark Hamill. All he does is preach woke speeches. Can actors just shut up for once?" Yeah, I mean, as I said, I think that actors should know the time and place. And I think that if they're going to have a public profile on Twitter, etc., that they need to recognize that if they're going to claim acting, if they're going to use their profile to promote their movies, I think that they should self-censor. So notice I said it, self-censor. I don't think anyone should censor anyone. You have a right to say whatever it is you want to say. You have a right to whatever opinion that you want to say. However, if you're going to use your platform in a certain way, I think that you should treat your platform in that way, right? And unfortunately, they're not. So if you're using the same platform to promote your movies and films and trailers so people follow you for that reason, but then you put in a lot of just crap political propaganda, I'm sorry, but I think people have absolutely a right to be pissed off by it. Captain Peabody says, "Doesn't unknown regions sort of imply regions you don't know about?" Yeah, Captain Peabody. Exactly right. Which is why I think that'd be far too clever for them to do, because then they had to explain everything about it. Captain Peabody says, "Don't feed the kookaburra to the dogs. They would be waking up the sun all the time." That's true, but then also they would get sick because of all the technology that's in the kookaburra, which I have. I just don't remember. I think it's in one of the bins behind me. I would set it off, but the dogs would hear it and they would go crazy. And they've already been barking a lot outside and drive my wife crazy. So I will hold off on that for once. Let's see. Tony Stank. Tony Stank 11. Thank you for the follow, man. That's a great name. He says, "First time on DLive, this looks superior." Yeah, it's a great service, I would say. It's great for streaming. It's a lot more made for streaming than YouTube is, that's for sure. It's got some problems. It used to be better. You used to be able to gain cryptocurrency just by watching, and now you can only gain it when I open up the chest, which is why I open up the chest every single time at the end of the stream, and I add a lot, too, as well. I add a lot of crypto to the chest. That way people get it. Grandmaster Yoda says, do you think any of the leaks are true on episode 9? Yeah. Oh, for sure. I would say that at the very least, about half of them are true or will be like based in truth, right? I think that not all, I would not say that any of the leaks will be true in full. You know, I don't think that they're going to be exact replicas of what's going to happen in the film, but I think they're going to be pretty close. I think there's definitely going to be some true elements to it. Soul Assassin says, so I can sue someone for using my oxygen and contaminating it with their silly politics. Damn right. That's the world we live in, right? John Winkler says, well, Odin, you're wrong. Gone with the Wind is crap because I said so, sir. Joke. I do like it. Of course you like it. And again, if you don't like it, that's your opinion, man. But it's a good movie. Notice how I like a movie, it's a good movie are not the same thing. Frank the Bunny, thank you for the ice cream donation over on DLive. Captain Poppyton, thank you for the ice cream donation and that weird licking gif. You really had to post that? Disturbing. Bomber the Hobbit says, the famous Quentin Tarantino editor passed away for heat stroke a few years ago. She was 45 years old. Yeah, for sure. And even then, though, I would say that, you know, as much as I love her work, I think that the one area that all the films could have improved on a little bit is, I think, having another pair of eyes on it, to be honest. I'm not saying that she was bad at her job because she was not. I mean, his films to this day are still iconic, and I think their editing has a lot to do with that fact. But I think that we could all say that if there's anything, you know, any filmmaker and any filmmaker's team will always have a place that they can improve upon. Basically, anytime, so Peabody, anytime that anyone on DLive posts anything in Turkish or the Turkish flag, assume they're a troll and ban them, like I just did. Because it seems to be a trend that they always start off by posting the Turkish flag and something in Turkish, and then their friends join, and just it's like, nope, let's just assume that you're a troll. And it's sad because I don't want to just treat people like that. And Cynical Centrist, I did indeed say Big D3, it's a real thing. Look it up. It's a real thing. Daniel Thorne, thank you for the ice cream donation. I appreciate that. Captain Poppyton says, yeah, I don't post that one often anymore. Yeah. Lucifer, Lord of the Hell. What? If you're playing left wing, come to what? I don't understand that. But also, I like that you're Lucifer, Lord of the Hell, and not just Lord of Hell. I think that says a lot about the one behind it. Venom Rolly says, the worst Star Wars movies are 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Do you mean episode numbers? The worst Star Wars movies are 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I get you. I get what you mean there. Okay. So anything but the originals then. John Winkler says, Gone with the Wind, 1 out of 10, not enough explosions. Yes. Mirror Jeremy says, yeah, obviously my opinion is subjective, but clearly the movie is well thought of. It's just not for me. Wizard of Oz is the best film released in 1939, and I stand by it. It's a good movie. Again, they're both good movies. You can like one over the other, but it's still a good movie. Yeah. Glad that we can at least agree on that point. Stray Dog says, my neighbor owns all the MCU films except Captain Marvel and Endgame. Says loads to me. No, and as I said before, why do you think there are still collectible steelbooks for Captain Marvel? Endgame sold very well. Like, I think Endgame's numbers are going to be insane because at the end of the day, whether I like the film or not, people went to go see it. A lot of people liked it. And so a lot of people are going to end up buying it. I mean, it's going to put every other film to shame. But that's the reason why you really can't find the Avengers Endgame steelbooks. I think most of them are gone at this point. There might be some around. I haven't really checked up on it recently. But Captain Marvel, every single time, because I watch some people that go to the stores every single week, and they go to Best Buy. And for some reason, their Best Buy allows them to film in their Best Buy. And there's always Captain Marvel steelbooks. Full stack. Obviously, there's something going on that they don't want to admit. Oh my God, it sold 1.5 million. It sold more copies than your precious Alita Battle Angel. Okay, good for you. It's still a bad movie. That's why it's on the floor behind me. Hybrid says, in your opinion, Return of the King ending versus Endgame ending? Return of the King ending. I would take the 1,000 endings of Return of the King over Endgame any day. Peter Sharon says, please do a live stream and smash a Captain Marvel DVD like Jeremy did with The Force Awakens. Well, the reason why I don't want to do that is because it takes the fun out of just throwing. I like having the ability just to throw it. Anytime, the first time it gets mentioned in the stream, I like just being able to throw it behind me. I don't know. I think it's more fun that way. At least it is for me. Captain PY says, sorry, did I miss something? No. You didn't miss anything. I jumped on it quickly. So I'm not, no. That was not a reprimand, Peabody, at all. I was just saying anytime if I miss something, because sometimes I do fall behind, even on DLive, if someone ever posts just a Turkish flag, ban them, because it means that they're probably trolling. People in the chat right now, my captains and other friends over on DLive, please don't post that, because Peabody might just see it and just ban and not know that you're a regular. So don't test it. Phantom Menace says that Blue Blood show has modern problems with the NYC Police Department, and it shows how the police commissioner deals with everything. Not everything has a political solution. I've not seen enough of Blue Bloods to know. I could not say at this time. Hybrid says, love the way you scream global warming. Need to give you an award higher than an Oscar. Okay. I don't even remember how I said it. Tina says, yeah, our mayor is a total jerk. He literally hates the police. He's the second mayor we've had who hates the police, as in he wishes he could do away with them. That's disgusting. How does he have a job? I feel like most sensible people support their police. Like I would say that most sensible people support the police. Even people that have had issues with police in the past. I've had issues with, I have issues with corrupt cops, but I respect all police officers when I meet them, because I assume that they're good, because most are. Bruce says, I can back up what Tina is saying. My son is a sergeant currently on the same force Tina is speaking of, and it's because our mayor, aka Mayor MC Bike Lane. Oh, Lord. Yeah, that's all you need to say. And it already tells me everything I need to know about this person. Single Centra says, I unfollowed Mark Hamill long ago. Gina Carano from The Mandalorian has political free Twitter, by the way. Nice. Okay, well, there you go. Gina Carano. There you go. Yeah, she doesn't seem like that much of a political person. The fact that I don't know what her political leanings are is a good thing. That's what it should be. Again, if you're going to make a profile that's specifically for political rants, okay, make that clear. And then make a separate account for your movie news, movie trailers, following up on the set, things like that. I think that it's unfair to entice people in by saying, I will give you exclusive content. I will give you exclusive looks on my movies, etc. And then to put in propaganda. I think that's unfair. Nessa Nason says, remember, actors are professional liars, so their opinion should automatically be suspect. That's a great point. Alex McCarthy says, I am almost at 78 hours of stream viewing, so that's about 3 days of you. We may highly disagree on movies, because cheesy and bad action movies are my forte, but we are civil about it. Yeah, no one watches me for 78 hours. 78 hours. That's awesome. No one watches me for 78 hours and disagrees with me a lot. Unless we're being respectful, right? Bruce says, be sure to let us know if the pup-ups like it, or just up an S on it. Oh, for sure, Bruce. No problem, man. No problem at all. Thank you, Tina, for letting them know. John McGuinn says, Odin, glory be to the Turkish nation. I am now hungry. If you mean like turkey, then, whew, oh boy, yeah. Look at that. Peabody's already taken care of it. So it looks like someone else decided to try and spam. Owner, thank you for the follow, man. Whenever it's a name I can't fully pronounce, I'll never say the whole thing, because it might be a trap. It's a trap. It's a trap. Frank the Bunny, achievement unlocked. Yes. But yeah, if it was actual turkey, that'd be delicious. John Wingler says, I got Iron Man 1 and Thor 1 steelbooks. Pre-owned, of course. Will you? So if I had to get a film, those would be it. I already have those films, though. I don't feel the need to get their steelbooks, to be honest. I'm a collector, but I don't really want to collect something from the current state that Disney's in right now, I would say. Also, I love that there's a person in the chat named Alexa Siri. That must be the most trolliest of names. And yes, trolliest is a word. Because anytime someone were to say that name, it would trigger either Alexa or Siri. That's hilarious. I wonder if it'd be funny if that was their actual name. That'd be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing. Bruce says, I can send you one to destroy. Damn, Bruce. Bruce is like, hey, you can keep the one that you have to throw. I'll send you another one to destroy. Hey, as I said, if you send me something, again, as long as it's within the realms of reason, legality, and propriety, if you donate or send stuff and have requests, I fulfill them, you know? Again, within reason. So if you send me a Blu-ray and say, I want you to destroy this on camera when you get it, I will do that because you're the one that sent it. You're the one that took the time, the money, the energy. Hey, no problem. Now, I will say this much. Someone could then easily flip that all around on me and send me like one of my favorite movies and then say, all right, I'll send it to you, but you got to break it. That would be, that would be a moral dilemma for me. Like if they sent me a copy of Casablanca and said, destroy this movie, I'd be like, ooh, I know what I said, but ethical reasons, it's a great movie. I'd rather just send it to somebody than destroy it. Solazaz says, so again, within reason, Solazaz says, maybe you and Jeremy and Nerdrotic should reenact the Office scene where they destroy the copier in a field, but with the Captain Marvel Blu-ray. Yes! That'd be awesome, man. I can't wait. Star Wars Celebration next year. I'm sure that, Geeks and Gamers is going. And so, if Jeremy asks me to go, I'll absolutely go. And that'd be amazing because it's going to be in California. So not only do I get to meet Cynical Centrist and many others in California, but it also means that I would get to meet Gary. And right now, one of my goals in life is to meet Gary Nerdrotic. I am one of his biggest fans and have been for a long time. You all know this. I think I mentioned him every single stream now, because he's always saying something amazing. But that would be so awesome to recreate that scene with them because we'd have so much fun with it, man. We'd have so much freaking fun. Alex McCarthy says, I claim being a YouTube captain. It doesn't work that way, my friends. Single Center says, everyone complaining about the PT and ST. Remember, Leia made out with her brother. Lucas didn't plan out his trilogy either. Ooh, sick burn. Sick burn. I will say this much, Cynical Centrist. He may not have planned it out, but it works. We're already 2 films in, and the middle film, Last Jedi, and I know you agree with this too, has already destroyed it from being, anything sensible. Grandmaster says, how to make an SJW mad. Make a PR film where you burn Captain Woke Blu-ray on fire when you grill and kiss Alita's steelbook cover. That would definitely piss them off, that's for sure. Just the first part. You don't even need the kissing of Alita. Just burning the Blu-ray for Captain Marvel alone would make them mad. Captain Peabody over on D-Live says, just letting you know, Poppyton is a big help over here. Nice, dude. Yeah, Poppyton is like a D-Live guru. Like, Poppyton has a D-Live channel. So anyone that's watching on D-Live right now, go follow Poppyton. I don't really know much about the content because I think it's mostly music, right, Poppyton? Tell people in the chat if you want to about your channel. But yeah, he uses, Poppyton uses D-Live a lot. So D-Live he's been a huge help to me too, just by telling me how things work, how the new system works and everything, because he knows a lot about it. Captain Poppyton says, I'll send you Blade Runner, but not the director's cut. Yes! That's excellent. I appreciate that so much. So for those that don't know, Blade Runner, the original, had several different cuts of the film. And universally, the final cut is seen as the best cut of the film. And so to say, I'm going to send you the cut, I'm going to send you a copy to destroy, don't worry, it's not this. That is what it's all about. So, oh, that's awesome, man. Oh, that's fantastic. Captain Peabody, thank you for the ice cream. Captain Peabody, thank you for the 4 lemon donation. That's awesome. Will Gentry says, Lucas had the outline planned out, just not the fine details. He filled in the detail as he went, but had the outline planned already. Well, there you go. Will Gentry responding to Cynical Centrist. I always love when there's like this D-Live YouTube crossover event. It's awesome. All right, I had to start to wrap things up. Let me see, though. Let me try and catch up with the chats. Alice McCarthy says, Gina Carano, wasn't she less angry Rosie O'Donnell in Deadpool? I think so. I think she was, yeah. Blake Lumley says, if you think Dave Chappelle made SJWs cry, just wait until Bill Burr's Netflix special, Paper Tiger, which comes out on September 10th. He's going to make those SJWs cry even harder. Yeah, Bill Burr doesn't, Bill Burr speaks truth too, man. So that I'm sure they'll give him the highest of ratings. Captain Roy over on D-Live, thank you for dropping the diamond donation. Captain Roy, coming in out of nowhere. Captain Roy, dropping the diamond bomb. Thank you so much, Captain Roy. You're awesome. Bot says, do you like Dragon Ball Z, and did you hear the leaked audio with the voice actors? So I do like Dragon Ball Z. Someone asked me about this the other day. I just don't really, that stuff doesn't really affect me all that much, because I still like Dragon Ball Z, and if the voice actors are going to say naughty things with the voices, okay. Yeah. I'm just kind of blah about it, you know? Let's see. Gina Carano's first movie as a lead was Haywire. She was great in it as a freelance Black Ops agent on the run to clear her name. Bruce, you're right. For those that have never seen Haywire, it's actually a really good film. And the reason why is because all of their action scenes are not random quick cuts. It's all usually longer takes. And also, too, I think they didn't use any post-processing sound. So you know how a lot of times in fights they add in like whoosh sounds and a lot of random hit, thud sounds and everything to try and make it sound better. Every scene in Haywire that's a fight scene, there's no background music. All you hear is the raw sound from the actual set. So it's actually a really cool film. It's not the greatest of all films, but it's a really good one for sure. I would definitely recommend it. Absolutely would recommend that film. That's a good shout, Bruce. John Winkler says, so with Palpatine back, is it true now that Snoke is some guy who did some things? Yeah. If Palpatine is truly back and he's back in the way that the leaks seem to indicate, then it truly makes the first film worthless. It makes Force Awakens the most worthless thing of all time. Snoke, worthless. Why should we care about the entire thing? Hammer says, Alita 4K UHD package would have sold much better if it didn't include the 3-day Blu-ray. $30 is too high. Well, Hammer, I will say this much. Even if the 3D Blu-ray was not in there, it would still cost $30. And the reason why is because that is the standard rate for 4K Ultra HD Blu-rays now. And I wouldn't be surprised if that price has gone down or will go down soon, Hammer. So I think that it's not the priceness so much as the availability. Because as I talked about, in stores, there were so few copies available that it would sell out a lot. Bruce says, if the Must Destroy Captain Marvel Blu-ray comes with a slipcover, keep it. Oh, for sure, Bruce. Gotta keep the slipcover, man. Bruce, remember, you don't ever have to do any of that, man. It's all up to you. And that goes for anyone else. Grandmaster Yoda says, no matter how much many dislikes episodes 1 to 3, they never hurt the Star Wars spirit and call fans sexist. Well, I will say this much. I think that they do less to hurt canon. That's for sure. I think that they help to build on canon. Alex McCarthy says, God bless you, Odin. Have a great night. And don't forget Lethal Weapon 1 through 4 are on Hulu. Okay. Alex McCarthy, don't forget, I own all of the Lethal Weapon movies now because one of the channels that I follow gave away the digital code for it. Super says, sorry, Odin, gotta head out. Hey, I'm about to head out myself. You have a good one, man. Bruce says, what's really great about Haywire is Gina really did those stunts. Remember, she was a MMA fighter. Yes, she did. That's another reason why the film is fantastic because all of the scenes are actually like legit stunts. It's freaking fantastic. You guys rock. All right, let me go ahead and pull up my Patreon list. So my September patrons, I've recently updated the list. Some names have left. I don't think anyone has joined, but one has returned. Correction, one has returned. A lost son has returned. All right, so huge shout out to my September patrons: Animation Commentator, Baptist702, Brian P. Dion, Edward Coleman, Elizabeth M., Enrique Evangelista, Entertainment Hacker, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Weeder Dog Clan, Harold Francis, Heather Haskett, The Hunka Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflame Wood, H Drop Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, JJ, Jonathan Jarenbeck, Matthew Kadish, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin, Orange Chat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Perpetual Punster, welcome back, Perpetual Punster, Reef Magos, Rosetta Allen, Theodora Bendon, The DJD Show, Those Two Ball Guys, and What an ABC. Now, What an ABC, if you're out there, I'm censoring your name because I cannot say your name on air. I can say the first part. What an ass is the first part. You add in the rest, and that's why I have to say what an ABC. So what an ABC. Thank you for being a patron, but you might need to change the name unless you're okay being called what an ABC. Also need to give a huge shout out to my Subscribestar subscribers. History Girl Tina B, G2 Cool 99, Darkstar 57, Laura Story, J. Alice McCarthyism Jr., that's right, McCarthyism, US 888-209 Fast, Fan Addicts of Film, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, The Filming Professor, J. Rod the Beer Guru, Christian J. Murr, Texas Kayla, Rolando Scarfullery, Nevaranji Adams, Andreas, and ZK Man. Thank you so much for being awesome and amazing Subscribestar subscribers. I appreciate you very much, so much. All right, last minute thoughts over on YouTube. Hybrid says, random news, orcas scaring off great whites off the coast of South Africa. Guess Bruce from Finding Nemo ain't so alpha after all. Damn, that's pretty cool. Or go get him, orca whale. Grandmaster Yoda says, just never break an Alita copy. Not even Yoda can forgive that. As I said, there's one evil person out there that's always, the one that's the first to dislike a video, who subscribed just to dislike, who watches the live stream just so they can dislike the video. They're the person that's going to send me an Alita Blu-ray and they say, I didn't want you to destroy it. You said that you would do anything. And I'd be like, yeah, I said within reason. And I couldn't do that. Hyperprint, God bless you. Hope you have a good one. Alex McCarthyism. I'm hunting communists, says Alex McCarthy. Sure you are. Might as well start calling you Deborah Messing. All right, Deborah. Deborah, the new McCarthy. Wait. Hold on. Tina, because you mentioned it, I did see the comment. So thank you for shouting out. So again, follow the advice of Tina always. Follow the advice of Tina always. So one comment that didn't tag me correctly, but I'll read it because Tina pointed out, says, am I the only one that thinks John Campea fakes his own fan questions to fit his agenda? I would say that's pretty accurate. It wouldn't surprise me. I think there are real people though, right? Because there are people that have various opinions on a wide variety of topics. So I would say that they're probably real. Are some plants? I wouldn't be surprised by that. I would not be at all. JKD Buck 76 says, good night and God bless you. God bless you, good sir, man. Glinzer, Bruce, Glonald Dover, G Monkey 76, Mr. Peabody, Jordan, Pharrell, Alex McCarthyism, Mirror Jeremy, John Winkler, Bruce, Phantom Menace, Mex ASC says, later meatbags, Mad Mitch, Nickel Noodles, Blake Hemlow. And also, before you leave tonight, drop the like, smash the like, but more importantly, give Stephanie B a happy birthday. And Stephanie B, before we end this stream, is there anything that you want to happen on the stream for your birthday? Whatever it is you want, I will make it so. If you have any requests, you'll come to me. I don't know. That was the worst Godfather impression I could ever do in my life. I could never do the Godfather voice, ever. But Stephanie B, are there any requests that you have before we go? Alice McCarthy says, I ain't no Deborah, I'm a Mac. Shill John played a Doble game, says Grandmaster Yoda. Nice. Stephanie B, wish the happy birthday. Captain Poppington says happy birthday. Daniel Thorne says, what happens to all the festival movies that don't get released? I see some even win rewards, yet they're nowhere to be found officially. If they're lucky, they'll get a Blu-ray or DVD release. A lot of times, some of them just don't. That's why there's some films that actually don't get released until years later. I would look up the history of Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods came out, I think, 2 or 3 years after it was originally filmed because it couldn't pick anything. 70B says, sing happy birthday. You got it, 70B. Trying to think about how to go by it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Stephanie B. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Stephanie B. Hope you enjoyed that. I was like, do I go long and drawn out and disrupt the wife and the puppies? Or do I go small but still grand, right? Happy birthday to you, Stephanie B. And Stephanie B, you'll be getting a gift in your email in a little bit to not only wish you happy birthday, but also to thank you so much for your tremendous work. 70B, and glad that you liked it. You're freaking awesome. Odin sounds a little like Hugh Grant in Love Actually, Glenser says. That's unique. Captain Peabody says, Steph wants a birthday wish. She wants a Peabody. Everyone wants a Peabody at the very end of the day. All right. Anyway, you guys freaking rock. Happy birthday, 70B. Happy birthday, Valkyrie. She's awesome. Birthday wishes on the way out. D-Lab people, stick around. I'll take care of y'all in a second with the chest. And 70B, check your email in about an hour, roughly, maybe even less than that, for a gift. Anyway, you guys freaking rock. Love you all so much.